Hey friends, happy Tuesday. I don't know about you, but one thing that I found myself doing a lot over the past few weeks is comparing myself to others. I'm part of several different children's ministry Facebook groups, and all these different children's directors have what seems like thousands of amazing ideas for how to minister to kids during this time. And I find myself wondering if I'm not doing enough. This can be a really overwhelming time. Maybe you're a parent at home with your kids right now, trying to balance everything from working from home to helping kids with schoolwork, to cooking meals, to keeping in contact with friends and family, to everything in between. And it can be easy to feel like you can't do it all or keep up with everything. It can be easy to feel like you're not doing enough. There are so many times we can feel this way, like we're not enough. With our work, our families, school, housekeeping, serving others, devotion time, or prayer life, it is so easy to compare our lives with the lives of those around us and to feel that our actions define us. It's easy to find self-worth in the things we do. But here's a thought that has humbled me today. Our worth has nothing to do with our actions, but everything to do with Christ's actions. As soon as we base our status or accomplishments on the things we're doing, we are distorting the gospel. You see, the gospel turns everything upside down. The gospel tells us that right standing before God is based on Christ's work of grace on the cross, not on our actions. The gospel tells us that our status is based not on accomplishments, not on trying to do enough, but on humbling ourselves and believing that Christ is enough for us. Paul wrote these well-known words in 2 Corinthians 12, 8 through 10. My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weakness, so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I'm strong. Do you see how Jesus turns things upside down? In his economy, what matters is not our strengths, accomplishments, or works, but humility, trusting that his work on the cross is enough for us. I've been studying Galatians recently, and it is a fiery letter that Paul wrote to Christians who had started believing that their works defined their faith. You see, they believed that they had to be circumcised to be right with God. Now, obviously, we don't struggle with that same issue today, but I still think we easily fall into the mindset that our works define our status. Paul writes in Galatians 1, verse 10, "For am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ." He goes on to say in chapter 2, verse 16, "We know that a person is made right with God by faith in Jesus Christ, not by obeying the law." And then later in verses 20 through 21, "My old self has been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me." Paul is showing the Galatians that right standing before God comes through faith alone, trusting that Christ's work on the cross is enough. He goes on to say that through Christ we are freed from earning salvation by following the law. Instead, the mark of our faith is simply love for those around us. I have this quote, which is so very challenging to me as a type A person, hanging above my desk at work. It was written by Michelle Perry in her book, Love Has a Face. It says, "If I simply live out of the love God has for me and love the person in front of me each day, the day is successful regardless of what does or does not get accomplished." May that encourage you as it has me today. You are loved by Christ. and empowered to live with love for those around you without comparison. You are defined by what Christ has done for you, not by what you do. You are enough through Christ today. Let's pray together. Jesus, you are amazing. You were equal with God, yet you humbled yourself to die a lowly death on a cross. Your life has turned everything upside down. Our worth is not in what we do, but in what you have done for us. Please give us humility to trust in your sacrifice. During this challenging time when it can be so easy to compare our lives with those around us, help us remember that we are loved by you and you are enough for us. Help us have eyes to see what you are doing in our lives, even if it looks different than the lives of those around us. We love you, and it's in your name we pray.